All right, we are live. It's getting a little funky now.
It is picking up a little bit.
By the way, if you want, I can reach out to StreamYard if you guys want to like cover any of these tunes.
I'm sure that's going to be in high demand. So
Yeah.
we'll go ahead and drop that email.
Okay. All right, come on in, everybody. Welcome back to another Tennessee Holler Hour. I'm Justin from the Holler. I'm going to lower this music that I was just telling Holly that we're playing with the music. That's some background that StreamYard's given us. It's a new feature. TNHoller.com is where you can find us at the TN Holler on Twitter and Facebook. We also have hollers all across the state. Thanks to your support. So please keep it coming. We do appreciate it. You are what keeps us going. And also a big shout out to Elisa Parker. If you want to support us, support her. She is buying and selling homes for people here in Middle Tennessee. What we try to do here on the Holler Hour is talk to people who are doing good work about the work that they're doing. And I've come to notice the Black Opry lately for reasons that I won't talk about because it's gotten too much press lately. But the Black Opry reached out to Holly G. She's been quoted in the paper recently, and I just wanted to kind of hear what is the Black Opry. So, Holly, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. Grateful to be able to sit and talk with you today. This is always fun when I get to meet new friends who are interested in what we're doing.
Absolutely. So, tell me a little bit about what you are doing. What is the Black Opry? How did it start?
So the Black Opry it's really difficult to like define it as a specific thing because it really is just like a collective of people, and I try to let the Black Opry be what the artists need and what the fans need. So it's ever evolving and it's always changing. Right now, our big focus is to continue this tour throughout the year, which has been crazy. I think we have about 15 dates posted, but there are about 50 dates on our calendar right now that we haven't
Amazing.
announced yet. Yeah. So we've got a really busy year. It started just because I love country music. Like it's the the to me it's like the center of my music world. And so I just love it, but I didn't see myself in it either on the stage or in the culture and marketing. Like you just don't see Black people represented in the country music culture. And so instead of continuing to participate in something that I felt like was shutting me out, I decided to develop a new way to participate in it.
And how did you start? Where did the path begin for something like that?
Dude, I started a WordPress. I thought it was gonna be like a blog, and I tweet way too much. And so I'm used to like talking to 20 people on the internet. And so I just figured I would just continue to be like yelling into a void. Cause I mean, I've been tweeting about country music almost 24 hours a day for like 10 years. So this is not like new. It's just new that people are now listening. And so when I started it, I was like, oh, this is just going to be a blog. Maybe I'll find like 5 or 10 other Black people that like country music and we can, like do a chat or something. And by like the third day, we had like 300 followers. I mean, it hasn't even been a year and we're up to like 8,500 or so.
So
People
what is the relationship between, like what is the issue when it comes to race and country music? Like it does feel like a very white dominated form of music. I think that's no secret. And how did it feel for you to embrace it? Was there sort of a moment where you were like, no, I'm just going to do it anyway?
There's a lot of, as a Black person that really, really loves country music, and I like shamefully love all of it, like even the bro country, like I like all of it. And so, in order to enjoy that, you have to do a lot of compartmentalization. Like, you have to just like say this is something that I enjoy listening to, but on the other hand, I know that the person that made it would not want me around them. And that's a really hard thing to reconcile, and I ignored it for a very long time up until the point where after George Floyd got murdered, it felt like a shift, and I really felt like I had to start really like going over and being careful about the things I was consuming, just because the whole world felt so heavy at that time. And because music is like the main thing that I consume, I had to look into country music and really like go eye to eye with it and figure out what I was going to do about the fact that, most of the people, I won't say most of the people that make it, most of the people that are promoted within the genre are conservative white males. And conservative white males traditionally don't enjoy the company of Black people. That's just the truth. And so, it's really tough, especially when you don't have any agenda other than just enjoying the art that somebody creates. And then, to see the way that they reacted to like Black Lives Matter and the fact that they, were so callous towards Black people, like having to beg for the right just not to be killed in this country was enough for me to just say it was enough.
Have you noticed a shift at all since then? Has there been more of an embrace? I think I saw the scene has written about you guys, the Nashville scene. I think it's Jason Isbell has sort of shown support. I admittedly don't know the country music world that well, but has there been a shift, and have you managed to find some allies that maybe have their finger on the pulse of the mainstream that have helped lift up what you're doing?
I think that there is a shift in tokenism. They realize that they cannot make these they realize that they can't keep these spaces all white without pushback. So they will throw Black people on the stage every now and then and to kind of like keep the noise down. But the problem is, like, for example, with the Americana Fest, I talked to a bunch of the artists and asked them, like, what is their experience with this festival? What can we do to help? And they were like, oh, well, we get invited to play on the stage, sure. But the problem is when we get off the stage, nobody wants to talk to us. Nobody invites us to the networking. Nobody wants to have us come to brunch. We're not meeting the people. So the white artists go and they get off stage. They get invited to these things and it propels their careers forward. The Black artists go and everybody goes, oh, they have Black people over there. They're doing great. It's diversity. But nothing comes of it from them. And so we got a house in Nashville for Americana Fest and gave them a space to network. And so many of them have gotten jobs and made meaningful connections and even just friendships with other musicians that they can like bounce ideas off of and things like that. And I think what's missing is the background part of it. They're putting more Black people, in the spotlight, which is great. And we're happy to see. But we also recognize that that's not a meaningful structural change that will, really do anything to further the cause.
That makes sense. I think what I'm showing here is part of your tour. Is that right? Before I
Yeah,
hit
that's
play
our
on
very
it?
first show, actually.
Do you mind if I play a few seconds
Yeah,
here?
sure. Go ahead.
Somewhere, any place is better. Starting from zero, got nothing to lose. Maybe we can make something. Just me, myself, and nothing to prove. See, my old man's got a problem. He lives by the bottle, that's the way it is. Said his wife's too overworking. His wife's too young to live like him.
I mean, that's just really cool to see, not even as a country fan, that's just really cool to see. Who are those people on the stage? How did you put the group together? Not the group, but how did you put the artists together? And, is it growing?
Okay, so all the way on the left with the plaid pants on, that is Roberta Lee. I actually found Roberta on Twitter and she was commenting about how she wanted to make country music but was scared that she would not be embraced. And so I just kind of like kept pushing her until she finally did it, and she's fucking great at it. Right next to her is Jet Holden. I found him on Instagram. And he had actually quit country music because he's gay and he's Black. And he was like, he said that he had been told by executives that he could be one or the other, but being both would be too hard to market. And so, he can't hide that he's Black, but he would have had to, stay in the closet, and he didn't want to live that way. And so I found him and I was like, okay, well, you might not be able to do it there, but you can do it with us. And luckily he was open to kind of being pulled back into it a little bit. And now he's flourishing. He's in the middle of recording an album right now, and he's like on tour. He's doing really awesome. Lizzie No in the middle. Lizzie is, she's pretty much a star already. She does this amazing like folk and country music, and she also like plays a harp. I've never seen anybody play country music with the harp, but if you look up some of her videos, like
That's awesome.
It is amazing. She's so talented, and she's such a smart, like, businesswoman. Like, there's no reason why she shouldn't already be, you know, the next Joni Mitchell. She's just amazing. Next artist is Tyler Bryant. I found him on YouTube covering one of my favorite Luke Combs songs. And then when we got to Nashville, I was just like, hey, this is weird, but do you want to come to this house? Like, there's a bunch of like random people coming to his house. And luckily he came, and, you know, he's been a really, really great addition to the group. He's one of the more like traditional, or not traditional, one of the more mainstream sounding country artists. And he's absolutely amazing. I'm hoping we can get him on like a big tour this year, because I know he'd do really, really great with that audience. And then all the way to the right is Joy Clark. Joy is one of the most amazing musicians you will ever see. I watch her play guitar sometimes, and it looks like her fingers don't even touch the chords. I don't know how she does it, but it's just so effortless. And then her songwriting and her voice on top of that, she's just like a triple threat. She's actually been touring and playing music for like 10 years. She's toured the whole world with other musicians, and now she's really focusing on, you know, furthering her career as a solo artist, and she's doing a fantastic job with it.
So that's really cool. So what, and are you an artist, or are you just sort of
No, I do all this because I'm not an artist.
Gotcha. So you're sort of a producer, kind of, you know, somebody who puts things together, lifts people up.
Yeah, I don't really know. I just kind of like fill in the gaps for whatever. I'm
Gotcha.
figuring it out as I go along. I don't have a background in the music industry, and so I'm just kind of like, what needs to be done? Okay, we'll figure out how to do it. And
But
people
you've
don't really
become-
find out. What's
Sorry.
that?
I was just going to say, you've become like, you know, where I noticed you was certain controversies recently, they kind of came to you for a quote. So, you know, you've definitely developed into a voice in that world. And so kudos to you for doing that.
Yeah, it's an honor to have, you know, enough respect from people that they care what I think about when, you know, things happen.
You're
So
almost like an advocate for
yeah,
black
definitely.
country artists, and that's really cool. So just
Absolutely.
to show people a little bit more of what we're talking about here, this is the Black Opry. You called it. This is the pinned tweet that you have at the top of here. I'll show the tweet first. This is the tweet. It says "Welcome home," and then these are the slides. It says Black Opry is a home for Black artists and fans of country, blues, folk, and Americana music. Been made and loved by Black people since conception. Been overlooked and disregarded in the genre. So, are you a bit of a Black country music historian? Like, who are some of, you know, going back, you know, who are some of the early Black country artists?
I totally am not a historian.
You're not that. Okay, you're more
No,
about
I do.
current country.
I don't want to misrepresent like
Right.
the depth of my knowledge. I do, you know, study and read a lot and research a lot. But there are other people that know way more about the history of it than me. I will say that it was surprising to me after, you know, being a lifelong fan of country music and thinking that I didn't fit in, didn't have a place in it. And when I did start researching it, to find out that Black people were actually the source of country music when it started. That was really fascinating to me. The first night that they, so the Grand Ole Opry was like a radio show, and then they were calling it something else. But the first night that they christened it the Grand Ole Opry, D4 Bailey was playing, who's a Black musician. And they have since gone on to only have two Black members in their almost 100-year history of existence. And so it's like we were there when it was created, and then as soon as it got popular, we got pushed away from it and weren't accepted.
There's only been two Black members of the Opry ever.
Ever.
Who are they? Do they?
Charlie Pride and Darius Rucker.
Amazing. All right. Well, it's at the Black Opry on Twitter, and here are some dates. We'll put this up in the podcast notes too. And Holly G, thanks for what you're doing. Stay in touch with us. Let us know if you're here in the Nashville area at all, and keep doing what you're doing. It's really important.
Thank you so much. It was lots of fun.
Absolutely. All right. Thanks so much.
You're welcome.
Take care. So that's Holly G from the Black Opry. We are going to have Art Spiegelman, who wrote MAUS, coming up in about an hour. So for those of you who are with us right now, come back for that. I think you probably saw that we broke that story about MAUS in Mcminn County. And so I'm going to talk to him about that, about his book, about how it felt to see his book getting banned by schools in rural Tennessee. and about some of the comments he's made since and all that. So join us in an hour, Art Spiegelman, right here live. Take care.